I got coffee and food in here though. Hey, a little picnic.
Is this the year that you're going to tackle that huge goal and try an ultramarathon? I'm gonna tell you how to prepare your body with fueling and hydration so that you can hit your PR or nail that goal. But if there's one thing I want you to remember throughout this video, it's that eating is training. So what counts as an ultramarathon or ultra running event? That's any distance from 50K, 100K, 100-mile, or a multi-day, multi-stage race. Now, most of these races happen on trails. They're usually at altitude. There can be limited amount of aid stations. They can be point to point. Sometimes you get a support crew, sometimes you don't. So you really need to understand the complexities that are involved when it comes to ultra racing. And you also want to make sure that you are prioritizing your nutrition leading up to, so during your training, the day of your event, and then after. All right, so your daily nutrition is going to be key to getting to that race and making sure that you are training well and that you're gonna hit that PR. Now, meeting your daily caloric needs should be your #1 priority. That means carbohydrates, fats, proteins, that means vitamins, minerals, electrolytes, fluid, all of those things you need to make sure that you're tackling on a daily basis. You also want to make sure that you're having balanced meals. I know that it's trendy to do either low carbohydrate, high fat diet, plant-based, meat heavy, protein heavy. All of those things can be good options. You just want to make sure that you're meeting those caloric needs. Low carbohydrate, high fat, if you're going to kind of go down that road, the ultra training, because you're doing it at a lower intensity, this is a time that you might want to consider that. Also because on race day, you're going to be going for such a long distance that being able to access those stored fats is definitely going to help. Eating at regular intervals throughout the day. A lot of times when you're doing this training, you are training for longer periods of time. You're training in the morning, you're training at night. So you want to make sure that you're fueling throughout the day and not just 1 or 2 big meals. So this is also a good time for me to remind you how much protein you're going to need. I've said it before, the protein requirements are usually a little low if you're looking at the recommended daily allowance. For athletes, you want to get 1.4 to 2.0 grams per kilogram of body weight. So for a 150-pound athlete, that would be between 95 and 136 grams of protein a day. Another big important component, once you meet those protein requirements, when you're training for an ultra, lowering inflammation and boosting recovery is going to show you a big benefit in terms of being able to train day after day after day. So what are some of those best foods for recovery and for lowering inflammation? Red, blue, purple, if you're going to remember some colors, so that would be berries, cherries, pomegranates, cabbage, eggplant, anything fruits and veg in that color are always good. Omega-3s, so fish, chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, those are great for you. Spices, turmeric, cinnamon, rosemary, garlic, oregano is good, ginger, all of those, if you can include those into your diet, you'll see benefits. Nitric oxide foods, so leafy greens and beets, those are great for performance. Vitamins, vitamin A, C, and E, that would be pineapple, broccoli, kiwi, Brussels sprouts, sunflowers, avocados, almonds, all of those. And then vitamin D rich foods, so mushrooms, egg yolks, fortified milks, and fish. All right, so it's race day, it's super exciting, your nerves are really high. Should you eat? Should you not? What should you eat? Okay, let's just do it like it is. You should absolutely eat some breakfast 2 to 3 hours before. Aim for something 500 to 800 calories, depending on what your body is used to. I'm gonna say this now, your body should be used to something because you have been practicing and training with that race fueling, hydration, and that pre-race breakfast. You've done that multiple times over your training cycle, right? Like I tell you all the time, practice, practice, practice. So you already know what you're gonna eat. There's just probably some nerves involved. Some examples of things that you can have. You can do a bowl of rice with some nut butter mixed in and maybe some milk. You can do either like frozen waffles or toast with nut butter or avocado and maybe some honey drizzled on the top. You can do oatmeal with protein powder mixed in. You can even do chicken and rice soup or chicken noodle soup. Ideally, it's up to you what you're going to be comfortable with on race morning, but you want to make sure that there's some carbohydrates, a little bit of protein, depending on if you are fat adapted or not, some fat in there in order for satiation. Just make sure that it's lower in fiber and easy to digest and that there's some sodium in there as well. Coffee is fine if that's something you're used to. And as I say, don't try anything new on race day. Don't do any superfoods or things that you've maybe heard. And again, timing 2 to 3 hours before, and if you need an extra boost at the end, maybe a piece of fruit, some gel, a gel or a chew, a couple chews, even a sports bar, maybe 15 to 20 minutes beforehand if you are ready to go and you know your stomach can digest that. The race starts and you're off. What should you be eating and drinking? Well, first of all, you've got a plan and you're gonna stick to it, right? You're not gonna change anything on race day, so you're gonna use the plan that you've practiced with. Ideally, if your gut allows it and you've trained your gut, solid food is going to be better for those lower intensity, longer duration runs. It's just easier on your gut to be able to digest and process those nutrients. And also it encourages you to kind of eat at regular intervals when you have some food along. So you could do a bar, such as Picky Bar, where you're dividing it up. I like to kind of cut mine into bite-sized pieces. And then from that, I'll just take a bite every 15, 20 minutes, even every 30 minutes, depending on how much you need. In terms of fluid nutrition, you can use something like a GU Roctane that has calories, carbohydrates, and electrolytes in it. If you're going to be running at a little higher intensity, some people find that it's easier to drink their calories. Just make sure that you're doing it at a rate that isn't upsetting your stomach. Now, hydration is going to be key. So whether or not you're feeling it right away, you want to start hydrating immediately. So from the get-go, because you're doing such a long endurance event and dehydration is almost inevitable, the goal really becomes then to kind of prolong and limit how dehydrated you get. And so instead of having to play catch up, maintain that fluid balance throughout. Another component of your race nutrition that is often forgotten or overlooked are your protein needs. As you're doing those 5, 6 to 10 hour, 20-hour events, your body needs to be taking in some protein. You can either do that in the forms of a protein powder, branched chain amino acids, the foods that you're eating, a lot of those snack bars or protein bars will have protein in them. Just make sure that you're getting some in between 20 and 30 grams over that 6-hour mark. Finally, you have a crew for a reason. When you're in these endurance events, long distance endurance events, your head is focused on your running and you can often mistime your food intake or you don't feel like eating. That's why they're there. Utilize them, listen to them. If they're telling you to eat or drink, eat or drink. And if you don't have a crew, set your watch. Set that timer, follow it every 15, 20 minutes, regardless of how you feel. Hydrate and fuel on regular intervals. And the side trick that I have used on race day when maybe your stomach isn't feeling well, which if you're running 100 miles, at some point in time, your stomach might not feel well. You can bring things like Tums, ginger chews, saltines, any of those foods that are used either as antacids or foods that are used to calm your stomach down. I've even made ginger tea, which helps, especially if it's cold, to have like a lukewarm ginger tea to help settle your stomach. All right, you did it. That's fantastic. You made it through. Now, how do you start recovering from and helping your body heal from this crazy endurance event? All right, there's some specific things that you want to prioritize. Number 1 is sleep. Make sure that after the race and after you've done all the celebrating, that you allow your body some time, even extra time to sleep so you can recover, and that will help your body to not pick up any kind of infection. Along those lines, you want to up the probiotic intake. Now, I know I said that you could do that when you were traveling, but you can also continue to do that for up to a week afterwards. Endurance events lower and weaken your immune system, and probiotics can help boost that up so you don't pick up an infection. All right, you also, big important component here is increasing that protein and carbohydrates. So have that celebratory meal, but then the week following, make sure that you're meeting your caloric needs and helping your body recover. So I've prepped you for everything you need to know about nutrition for this ultramarathon. What about training for it? Our friend Alex, who just did Western States 100, one of the most, I would say, supreme, epic endurance events out there, tells us all about his challenges, his trials, what he learned. You absolutely want to watch this video. We can all learn together and pick up some great tips. I couldn't even.